Hello everyone, welcome to another video talking geeky stuff. Today's video is about a filmmaker, Wong Kar Wai, or Wong Kar Wai if you are from the West. Wong Kar Wai is a Hong Kong director, originally from Shanghai, China, and he's one of the few directors that I didn't like at first. When I was younger, I wasn't really big on his films. You know, his films are very artistic, very artistic. And back in the day, you talk about late 80s to the mid 90s, I was really into that kind of action genre. I'm still at, it's still one of my favorite movie genres is action. His films are very slow paced, character driven, very arty farty. He had very good cinematography. What's his name again? Christopher Doyle. He'd done his cinema photography. I think they've been partners for, I think, almost every single film. So, with Wong Kar Wai, I kind of got into his films. I think the first film I really kind of enjoyed was Chungking Express, starring Tony Leung, Faye Wong, Takeshi Kaneshiro, and Bridget Lin. It's kind of like a movie of two movies into one sort of thing. I remember watching that, and to be honest with you, it's one of my friends who's a massive fan of his. He got into him way before me, kept on like pestering me and bugging me. You need to watch this film, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll give it a go, and watched it, and I was like, it's actually pretty good. I like the way they used Hotel California. I bought the single after that. They used it a lot. I've always been a big fan of Tony Leung and Faye Wong and Takeshi Kaneshiro and Bridget Lin. So all the actors, I'm a big fan of theirs. So it was worth watching that film for them, really. Faye Wong had a music career, one of the top female artists in Hong Kong at the time. Tony Leung, one of the best actors. He also won Best Actor for this film as well. So I watched it and really enjoyed it. So I kind of went, that's when I kind of became, okay, he's pretty good. I wasn't say big fan. I enjoyed it. With Chungking Express, I definitely enjoyed it as I got older. The one film I really enjoyed when I first watched was Falling Angels, starring Leon Lai, Takeshi Kaneshiro, both great actors, of course. Leon surprised me because Leon was kind of like a canto pop singer. He was one of the four heavenly kings, Si Dai Ting Wong, along with like Andy Lau, Jackie Chan, and Aaron Kwok. And Leon was never known for his acting. To be honest with you, he wasn't really known for his singing because he always getting mocked on Hong Kong media for his voice. Wasn't the best, but he improved, as a singer and as an actor. And watching this film actually was like, I was like, oh, Leon's actually a pretty good actor. And this film hit me because I like the actors and actresses, and it's about assassination, killing. Just the opening scene where he, goes into the cafe and starts shooting, very reminiscent of a John Woo film, 1986, A Better Tomorrow, reminded me of that. And here, these are the 6, in my opinion, best Wong Kar Wai films. Actually, my favourite one's got to be Falling Angels, Chungking Express. My top 2 is those 2. Then I would say In the Mood for Love, 2046. 2046 is a good one because that took him like 6 years to make. In Hong Kong at the time, it's unheard of because most films in Hong Kong, in the 90s, 80s and 90s, even to the early 2000s, they were getting done in like a couple of months and then they're off to post-production. Not so much today where the film industry in China, Hong Kong is pretty big, so they have a longer schedule and so on. And also, I think Wong Kar Wai was one of the first really Asian directors to really establish himself in the West. Not because of I know like people like John Woo, when they released like Hardball back in the UK and in the West, 1992, a year after the Hong Kong release, for the insane action that had. But Wong Kar Wai was known a lot for his art house movies, you know, and he was, you know, especially in Cannes Film Festival where he got nominated a lot. I think he won a few awards there as well. He's consistently getting a lot of best directors in Hong Kong, along with actors like Tony Leung. Tony Leung, I think he holds a record for the most awards in Hong Kong as best actor. I think anyone who actually does a film with him has a really good chance of winning best director, best actor, actress supporting, and so on. Christopher Doe is cinematographer, has won plenty of awards as well. And here's some of these other films that I also think are not as good, but they're definitely worth checking out. And also as below here as a producer as well. Wong Kar Wai, when he first started, if you look at films like As Tears Go By, starring Andy Lau and Jackie Chan, back in 1988-89, it was just run-of-the-mill Hong Kong kind of gangster triad movie. You know, he was one of those directors who started off like that. You know, I think in order to get into the Hong Kong industry, Hong Kong film industry, you had to kind of like do what they tell you to do, you know, become that kind of director. And then even during As Tears Go By, you can tell he was a little bit different than other filmmakers of that time. Especially there was like hundreds of triads, gangster kind of movies. I mean, it was a run of the mill back then, you know. And but you saw some of his style, art house, his directing, you know, the interaction with the characters in the movies, the dialogue as well, and you can see that was a little bit different. Because when I first watched it, I didn't know he directed it. I know, maybe too young. I actually thought he directed by Ringo Lam because he was pretty violent. And there's a funny interview with Andy Lau about the ending, where, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, is the ending scene where the actors go out there to assassinate someone outside a police station. Because in Hong Kong back in the 80s and 90s, it was very hard to film in the streets. So if you watch films, Hong Kong film in the cinema, or in the 80s and 90s, early 90s, you will see a lot of these pedestrians just looking at them because they didn't have no permits. They had to cook a film and run before the authorities arrived. And Andy Lau said in the interview they got arrested for that scene because they had no permit. They're using like even though they were fake guns, but you know, you can imagine outside the police station, you know, filming like an assassination scene and so on. So they got arrested, chucked in jail for a few days, and the producer of the film came in and bailed them out. So filming in Hong Kong was pretty rough back then. And you know, legendary interview with Wong Kar Wai, you know, he talks about how, you know, he wanted to take more time, but you know, Hong Kong back then as a director or as an actor, you'd be making 10 to 15 films a year. And if you look at some of these actors, they're not just actors, they're singers, they do TV shows. Like, take an example like Andy Lau. He was known for like doing like 15 films in a year, doing TV shows. He's also a singer, you know. So these actors and these celebrities, their schedules are pretty packed. As time went along, you realise that, you know, film industry got bigger. There's a lot more money involved, and as he made Days of Being Well, you know, he got really it become pretty internationally known. You know, got put forward into the Western market and so on. But also, Wong Kar Wai is also known for his he's actually a pretty tall guy. He's like 6'1" for a Chinese guy. That's pretty tall for a Chinese guy. And he's also known to wear glasses all the time. He's very kind of laid-back attitude. You know, he's always sometimes sitting on his own with a cigarette thinking, you know, about the next scene. And he's also famous for like literally rewriting scripts on the spot. That's pretty common in Hong Kong, to be honest with you. He does it a lot. And more than often than not, he actually comes up with better ideas than what he previously wrote. So it's one of the few directors who's done that. But at the same time, a lot of people say he has a sense of humor. For example, if you watch his film Ashes of Time, he directed that, you know, based on the Eastern Condor kind of a famous novel, which is also famous TV shows and anime. But he, as a producer, he produced Eagle Shooting Heroes, which is a parody of Ashes of Time. It's a comedy, things like that. Even when you watch the producer producing Flaming Brothers with Chow Yun-fat and Alan Tan, your one-of-the-mill kind of action triads gangster that was, like I said, one of the mill back in the 80s. But I think with Wong Kar Wai, what I liked about him is, like I said, his art. I mean, just when you watch his film, the camera angles really zoom into the characters' faces, and you can see that perspective in the background, and the colors he uses, almost like pastel and kind of almost blurred in some areas as well. And his use of kind of like a lot of these scenes are really quiet, and then suddenly it explodes into a lot of sound. And I kind of like that, how it really kind of, sometimes you don't need sound to enhance the mood. Just the way the camera sits there, just like in Chungking Express, where the scene where Tony Leung's character was kind of getting sad over a female, a girlfriend, and he uses an orange, peeling off the layer and talking while he's doing that. Apparently that was quick thinking. He didn't. There was no script, and Wong Kar Wai just thought of it on the spot, and he told Tony Leung to act with an orange. So that was a pretty genius move. That was, and I'm just glad that he's also recognized in the West. One of the most recognizable Hong Kong directors. Not just because a lot of Asian actors, filmmakers, when they go to West, they tend to kind of, pigeonhole themselves into that kind of genre. Actors always get stereotyped in these roles and never kind of break out. Take a look at Jackie Chan, Chow Yun-fat, even Jet Li. They all kind of play that role, and they never escaped that. John Woo, for example, went to, where all he did was loads of action films. Don't get me wrong, I mean, John Woo is known for his action, but with Wong Kar Wai, he has a different respect from the Western audience. People see him as a genuine filmmaker. You have a lot of big actors who want to work with him. Tarantino spoke really highly of him because of the way he directs, the way he doesn't follow trends. He kind of starts his own trends, and he a lot of Western filmmakers kind of get inspired by his work. For example, a female director, Sofia Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola's daughter, said that she's a massive fan of his. I think he also helped produce some of her films as well. So yeah. But anyway, thank you for listening to the end. I hope that you enjoyed this video, of course. Please give it a like and subscribe if you have time. Oops, I moved too fast. Anyway, I'd like to say thank you. I forgot to put the subscribe, my usual subscribe. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Let me know what Wong Kar Wai films you like. And yeah, please subscribe. Until next time, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are in the world. And please stay safe. Goodbye.